All right, it's still good morning, Anambra, and we've kicked off the discussion segment for this morning. This morning, like I told you when we started, we are going to look at improving the quality of our goods in Nigeria. It cuts across a very wide range of issues. And this morning we have a professor of food science from UNIZIK, Professor Ernest Igwe, joining us in the studio. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right. Like I asked the question, how do you feel when you get a product from the market and with your hard-earned money and it's not meeting what you wanted? You discover that the quality of the goods you bought is below standard. Those are the questions we'll be asking, and we'll be wanting to find solutions to them. IJ is still with me.
Yes, I am. And not just on the area of food, we're going to look at other areas whereby goods and services are supposed to be of good quality.
All right. So, Prof, let's begin with improving the topic we are looking at, improving the quality of goods in Nigeria. How did we get here? Or can we even say we are better now?
Honestly, I'm confused too. but the truth remains that the difference between developing and developed countries is lack of quality control or inappropriate quality control, be it in food production or processing, be it in medicine, be it in building, like you always have building collapse. You always get the message that after a family of 3 or 4 or 5 died after taking akara or eating so and so. They all boil down to lack of seriousness, lack of quality control on the producers. And because you do not blame the unsuspecting consumers. Because if I want to rent your house, the house is okay. I don't know the foundation. I don't know other aspects of it. I enter the market, I buy a can of milk. The traders now change the best before dates. So what do you do? So it's from the producers. And unfortunately, Nigeria is more of a consuming nation, producing virtually nothing, except probably table water and the packaging industry.
You just gave a very, very clear example of something. I bought a drink recently, and then when I tested it, I discovered this is not the original taste this drink normally have. I had to throw it away. Then, you also mentioned the issue of quality control on the manufacturers. What about regulators? Because a manufacturer can intentionally reduce the quality to maximize his profit. But you discover that the government that's supposed to be there to protect the interest of the consuming public are not performing as it should be. So is it that the government is overwhelmed by the quantity of what we import and produce that we continue to see this reduced quality in our products?
I like that language, that word, overwhelmed. We have Standard Organization of Nigeria. We have a National Agency for Food and Drug Control and Administration, NAFDAC. And we have various other diseases. We have compensatory controls in everything, but I think people are overwhelmed. Let's take an example of somebody producing bottled water. The other day, I bought Eva bottled water. Another day I bought, and as I looked at the two bottles, they are different. And I know it will be
the same
Eva
brand. Okay.
In other words, somebody somewhere is even producing an adulterate, a fake one, which I will not be surprised he gets to the well and bottles direct and cocks. So the agency are also overwhelmed. The situation is like Nigeria. It's unfortunate. It's like the biblical statements. Romans 3:23, all have sinned and fallen short of the righteousness of God.
Why would the agency be overwhelmed? Is it because Nigeria is too big for them to control? They don't have enough staff? Or that what is obtained in other countries is impossible in Nigeria?
No, if you disaggregate their problems, you will find out that, let's look at the laboratories. Many of them are not functional, even with that of the
Why
agency.
are they not functional?
You know more than I do.
No, I don't.
Well, they'll complain funding. And the poor civil servant that is there, there's much he can do to protect his job. He does and does the little.
Complain of funding. Is it that we don't have money in this country? Is it that there's this problem that refuses to go away? And they always want to load it on the agencies. What do we do? Are we ever going to get it right?
We will get it right, my sister. The major problem, I think, I was discussing with one of my postgraduate students the other day. I said, I seem to be frustrated equally. Because if you look at the enormity of resources, this is the most endowed country in the universe. I stand to be corrected. The land, we are not troubled by much of earthquake. We have the manpower, we have everything. When our soldiers go on peacekeeping operations, they do best. When our policemen go outside, they do best. But when they come into Nigeria, they perform so poorly. I think the problem is leadership at all levels. We have failed. In fact, there was a story, I cracked a joke with them. I said, it was said that when God was creating the world, the angels were telling him that, look, you are over-blessing Nigeria. And God said, no, I'm not a partial God. I'm a God of justice. You will see the type of leaders I'm going to give them. That will equalize everything. So I think the type of leadership we'll have is like we're a cost nation. I don't know.
All right. Someone wants to join us. Hello. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning. Your name and where you're calling us from?
I am in Sunday calling from Onitsha.
Okay, Sunday, go on.
Go on.
Yeah.
Sunday, go on. Let's hear you.
I want to add to what the guests in the house have just said. The problem is the leaders. Because Nigeria have standard organization of Nigeria. We have other supplementary committees, quality control, manufacturers association of Nigeria. To what extent have those organizations looked into the quality of goods they manufacture or import or produce? Our leaders travel outside, they enjoy quality products outside. But hardly would they bring those things into the nation to make sure that the standard they see overseas is done here. So the problem is like Mazdak now, somebody that wants to dig borehole will just go to the office with a nefarious passport. They will dig out numbers without coming to the site to take on the spot assessment of the environment, of the quality, and the every other thing around. Just as we cited the example with the bottle of water from whichever company he calls. Then, somebody somewhere could be at his backyard producing the quality or the same brand of product and a company, the digital company is producing. And don't forget small the market. You that is a consumer, you have to go and put it identified. Because traders went as far as changing, removing the expiry date. So Nigeria please will, until our leaders will begin to get into compromise that quality is the best of the health of the citizenry. Nigeria will continue to suffer these things we are suffering.
All right, thank you, Sunday, for those profound, was so strong in his.
Yes.
All right, still on this, we are laying the blame on maybe the manufacturers now, but some of these manufacturers will argue that the policy environment for them is too harsh. You find out they begin to reduce the quality just to meet up with basic needs of people. They spend much in generating power and other things. How do we fix this?
It's a hydra-headed problem. I said, all the value chain, everybody's involved. The NAFDAC that issues the number, I stand a little bit to disagree slightly with Sunday Ibe.
Okay.
In terms of NAFDAC throwing out numbers like that, I don't think it's so. I think they do their best. But just as my sister has said, they're overwhelmed. When you have issued this number, there's a public analyst who analyzes. NAFDAC does their own cross-checks, and they are the same. No, not that there are no fraudulent NAFDAC staff.
Yes, sir.
But after this, who follows up inside the factory? And the processor is frustrated by the mere fact that somebody gets the same product at his backyard, bottles well water with the same sachet number, everything, and sells cheaper. So at the end of the day, his returns is so low that before you know it, most companies in Nigeria, food companies, go out of existence in their first 5 years or first 3 years because of all this. And so you find out that the quacks come in. And some of them now recruit very poor, inefficient people so that they can pay.
Okay, let's look at another angle to it. No doubt the quality of made in Nigeria good has kind of improved in recent times, but the problem we still have is working on our psyche to accept that made in Nigeria goods are of good quality. So what do we do?
God bless you. It's beyond that. We have a new colonial psyche. Let me give you an example. We import wheat for our bread. Who says bread baked with cassava flour is not good? But we have been so mentally brainwashed that without wheat flour, a bread that you press it, it goes up and down, which has not gotten much the nutritional aspects. Therefore, since we have been worked upon, we must import it from there. That was one good aspect of President Muhammad Buhari when he came as a soldier. He banned wheat, banned barley, but these colonial masters with their affronts in Nigeria now went ahead now to increase breweries started using sugar as adjuncts, sorghum, but they increased the price of enzymes because the diastactic power of malted barley is very high compared to our own local grain. Then you go to this bread industry, the wheat. No, foreigners will not want to sponsor researches. For example, what's the difference? One has glutenin and gliadin, which institute produces gluten, and that makes the bread.
Before you go in very deep. Yes, break some of those explanations so that we can.
What I'm saying is, okay, let's make it this way. If you get bread baked with maize, and because it's down, they will say it's akpu. But if you eat it, what's the difference between one I'm buying Ruban? Because our psyche, sorry, it's one of the best in quotes. Okay. So the psyche of Nigerians, of our people from childhood, is such that we are glued to those things that are foreign. We cannot promote our sobo. We cannot promote our kinism.
When the lawmakers and then the policy makers will go ahead to patronize foreign goods, when you see them in gathering, they drink foreign choice champagne, good wines, and then they encourage the people that are leading to patronize made in Nigeria goods. How do you start?
We have a faulty policy issues. Let's put it this way again. I remember Professor Dr. Pius Okibo once was saying, since the last functional national development plan we had was 1962, in which ordinary middle belt, just middle belt in Nigeria, was supposed to produce enough food to feed the rest of Africa. But what do we have today? We import virtually everything. Though there are changes now, as you are saying. So our psyche had to start from primary school, and as you said, our leaders, they've started a little on made in Nigerian rice, Anambra rice. That is where I held Governor Obiano. That Anambra rice, though it needs a lot of refinement, but they have done a very great leap If we can check the quality, if you see the quality of Anambra rice now, fine. But it just needs some fine refinements, some little refinements. It will not meet international standards. And we can export.
All right, let's look specifically to some of these policies of government. We'll start from federal. You've mentioned Anambra rights at the local level.
Yes.
There is ASBA, one of the state government agencies that promotes businesses,
Local
in
businesses,
Anambra. But there is this also policy by a federal government where they reduce the price of registration for manufacturers and have them register. I think that's what they are looking at Aba for our leather market. Do you think this policy will go a long way in making sure that we improve our quality? And if it will, what are the fine touches we're going to do to ensure that the quality improves?
There will no doubt help, but they're tangential.
Okay.
Not deep.
What would now be the deep solution?
The deep solution is leadership by example. Let's take the case of Julius Nyerere. If you are in business, concentrate on your business. If you want to lead, concentrate on your leadership. And many people left. And look at literacy rates. He adopted Swahili as the national lingua franca. And Tanzania, that started yesterday, has one of the highest literacy rates. Because, assuming we adopted 3 or 4 languages in Nigeria as our lingua franca, it will have helped us to be too high. And when you have that lingua franca, everybody, literacy rate high, everybody will understand fast and follow. That's the situation, that's the truth. So the thing ASBA is doing, good. The ABA issue, good. But look at electricity, power generation and transmission. Look at our steel projects. Look at our polyplastic industry, which has to develop from petrochemicals. Look at even the oil and gas.
We'll look more detailed into some of those issues you are raising when we come back. We spoke to ordinary persons on the street, and this is what they have to say. Stay with us.
It has a major role to play on this issue. At least they should create a standard for our manufacturers. Not just creating a standard, they should also make sure that those standards are met up to.
Government have to set up a committee like NAFDAC that will help to check all the production industries, all the manufacturing industries that manufactures many products in Nigeria, make sure they will all undergo tests, some series of tests, to make sure that they all produce a quality product.
There should be adequate and proper regulation of goods that are produced in Nigeria. The body should make sure that those goods are of high quality.
We teach our people, enlighten them to appreciate our made in Nigeria product, to know that it's the best for them, to let our people know that it's better to have your own and to improve on your own, because you cannot keep importing. We cannot keep developing other people and nation when we have the capacity to produce things by ourselves.
Government should empower and improve the raw materials using for those Nigerian made. Secondly, sun. Federal government should give more powers to sun so that they will make it effective.
All right, this is a topic that whenever you raise, everybody will have something certainly to say about it. And you heard what the people at the streets are talking about. We're looking at improving the quality of goods in Nigeria. And we have Professor Ernest Igwe, a professor of food sciences at Anambra University, joining us in the discussion. You've already started laying, the ground plans for, you talked about leadership by example. Can you elaborate more on that as you were doing before we went on that break?
Very simple. If, as you said, the leaders insist, there was a time the highest car you can ride by leaders in Nigeria was 544 Peugeot. In the 70s, government agencies could not buy more. That is one example. If all Anambra functions, like we have Anambra rice, only Anambra rice is cooked. Another one is, you go to if somebody could, the head of let's say the agency will say, I'm tired, I cannot continue. How do I issue numbers when my laboratories are not functional? There are so many, I think we need to go back to the drawing board in virtually every aspect.
Some of the challenges that are being faced by manufacturers to make sure that they produce quality goods in Nigeria. But I know places like Aba, whereby they produce very high quality shoes, they still label it made in elsewhere. You understand? Maybe for them to get good patronage, honestly. What do we do? What is the government supposed to do to stop this?
The government needed nothing more than boosting the confidence. Like there was a time we had marketing boards for agricultural produce. We have a good marketing agency, just as the state government has set up ASBA. We have a marketing equivalent of it, which, like the government taunted the idea of a one-stop shop for registration. You have those things, but when you produce without pushing out, without selling at a profit, you will no longer produce again. It's a cobweb cycle.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Professor Ernest. Where you talked about, I think one of the statements you made that is so profound and memorable in my mind is that we must have leadership by example and probably provide a benchmark. If we can say all government vehicles must be made in Nigeria or assembled in Nigeria, it can also encourage some of these things. Thank you very much for joining us on the show and for making these profound solutions to our economy. Basically, as we go back to the drawing board, if we must, there must also be sincerity on that board when we draw them. Thank you very much, Prof, for joining us. IJ.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for coming, Prof.
Thanks.
Okay.
All right, stay with us as we go on and bring you the second discussion on the show.